Hi, everyone. I'm Master Nutrition Therapist Diana Wally. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me for what I hope is an interesting and fun and informative webinar entitled Exercise Tools for Nutrition Professionals. I wanted to start on camera so that we could meet face to face, but I am going to minimize my video window so that it's not too distracting while we're watching the webinar. So let's go ahead and begin. I want to start by saying that experienced, seasoned nutrition professionals understand the critical importance of making physical activity assessment and promotion a core component of our work because physical activity is mandatory for true holistic health. But if you're not a certified personal trainer like me, advising clients on exercise programs and knowing which exercise experts to trust can be confusing, overwhelming, and intimidating. It's true that not all nutritionists are as passionate about exercise as I am and have the desire, time, and money to invest in becoming a certified personal trainer. But if that's you, don't worry, I have your back. The goal of this webinar is to provide you with evidence-based exercise tools to incorporate into your holistic nutrition practice today so that you don't have to become a certified personal trainer. In other words, I've done the work for you. By the end of this presentation, you'll have the knowledge you need to help your clients transform their relationship to physical activity and guide them to make better exercise choices and hopefully make faster and more sustainable change, allowing you to help more people and ultimately grow your practice. So here's the agenda. We're going to talk about why exercise is essential for optimum health. I'll provide evidence to convince you of the importance to recommend physical activity in your client plans. And then we'll go over the physical activity guidelines for Americans so you're clear on exactly what to recommend. We'll talk about how to create an exercise toolkit for your practice so that you can start using these tools today to help your clients achieve even better results. And then we'll talk about linking nutrition and fitness recommendations. So here I'll explain my framework for nutrition as it relates to physical activity. And then finally, I'll list some trusted resources. Should you want to research physical activity on your own or provide vetted exercise content and videos to your clients. So before we dive in, I'd love to introduce myself to you and explain my credentials. I've been a nutrition professional for over 12 years now. I earned a Master Nutrition Therapy certificate from the Nutrition Therapy Institute in Denver, Colorado. And a few years after that, I earned the board certification in holistic nutrition from NANP, which I'm very proud of. As I became a more seasoned practitioner, I came to understand the synergy between diet and exercise for optimal health. And I wanted to learn more about exercise so that I could make appropriate recommendations to my clients around physical activity. This is the point at which I went back to school and obtained certifications in personal training and group exercise training. So that I could really understand how to program exercise, I moonlighted, so to speak, as a personal trainer for over 5 years. I worked with mostly individuals my age and older. I'm 55, and I did this at a community recreation center. So it was very fun, very engaging, very social. It was an incredibly interesting and rewarding experience because I gained valuable insight into people's psychology around exercise so that I could truly understand how to recommend physical activity programs to my clients. I also noticed how much more success clients had when combining diet and exercise. A total game changer, really, and I'll never go back to just recommending one without the other. Some good news for all of you nutritional professionals listening is that many of my nutrition coaching skills and strategies transferred beautifully to exercise coaching. So, motivating your clients to adopt a physical activity routine should be second nature. Presently, I run a private nutrition therapy practice where I also recommend exercise. And no surprise, I have strong opinions on the best physical activity programs for my clients. I'm not shy about this. I'm also employed by the city of Boulder, Colorado, as a nutrition coach. And here I work closely with personal trainers as clients typically sign up for both nutrition and personal training sessions simultaneously. And we for sure see the best results with the combined nutrition and exercise programming we do. I'm also lucky enough to be the co-host of NANP's awesome podcast called Nourishing You with my fellow nutrition practitioner, Kristen Burkett. If you're not familiar with our podcast, it's a monthly show featuring top experts in the holistic nutrition space. So please subscribe if you haven't already. We have episodes on exercise. If this webinar that I'm doing piques your interest in learning more about exercise. So thanks for indulging that shameless plug. I'll tell you my whys for prioritizing physical activity. First of all, it's to stay strong and fit enough to do what I love to do, which is climbing mountains and hiking lawn through trails with my husband and daughters. The top photo here on the screen is of me and my family on a beautiful summit a few months ago in Colorado. Magical days like this make my cardio and strength training well worth it. Another of my big whys is to be a good role model for my daughters and my clients. So to walk my talk, so to speak. The bottom photo here is one of my favorite memories when my mom and daughters and I hit the gym together for a strength training workout. 3 generations of women pumping iron. My mother is 79 and beautiful and still getting after it in the gym, which I love. As you know, it's really important to have a why when it comes to striving for holistic health. So keep this in mind when recommending physical activity to your clients. You may want to bring that up, like what's your why, and give them examples of what your whys are. Finding time for exercise and having fun with it can be challenging for some people. This is where your coaching expertise is very valuable. So let's talk about your why for listening today. My goal is to help you broaden your experience, better your clients, and build your practice. But don't just take it from me. Listen to what NANP has to say. Per NANP, physical activity is a component of the philosophy of holistic nutrition because nutrition professionals promote active lifestyles. We approach health and well-being from a whole person perspective. We advise individuals on how to improve diet, lifestyle, and attitude to promote health. And we offer diet and lifestyle evaluations. So I want you to be a well-rounded nutrition professional by offering physical activity recommendations to your clients. Do remember that as nutrition practitioners, we do not misrepresent our training. So you will not be a certified personal trainer after this webinar, nor do we operate outside of our scope of practice. So please do refer to credentialed and trusted colleagues when that's appropriate. If you're like me, you're on a mission to help as many people as possible be vibrant and live long, healthy, disease-free lives. That's why I want to address diet, lifestyle, and fitness in my nutrition practice. A few of my favorite health quotes from Hippocrates to kind of keep in your back pocket are as follows. If we could give every individual the right amount of nourishment and exercise, not too little, not too much, we would have found the safest way to health. And Hippocrates is also quoted as saying, if you're in a bad mood, go for a walk. If you're still in a bad mood, go for another walk. Okay, So let's make the case for why exercise is essential for optimal health. I want to begin with a few powerful words from trusted physical activity experts in our space. From Dr. Peter Attia, exercise might be the most potent drug we have for extending the quality and perhaps the quantity of our years. Even a little bit of daily activity is much better than nothing. Going from 0 weekly exercise to just 90 minutes a week can reduce your risk of dying from all causes by 14%. It's very hard to find any drug that can do that. From Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, unhealthy muscle infiltrated with fat is much like a marbled steak. This can lead to chronic fatigue, loss of strength, and insulin resistance, as well as limitations of daily activities. Through specific targeted behaviors, you can literally change your destiny by empowering your muscle to run the body's systems in healthy ways. And finally, from Dr. Yuan Ashley, exercise may be the single most potent medical intervention ever known. It's clear that 1 minute of exercise brings you 5 minutes of extra life. Those are powerful words. Exercise has a long list of health benefits. Some immediate benefits of exercise include lowering blood pressure, and nearly half of adults have high blood pressure. And having high blood pressure puts you at risk for heart disease and stroke. And of course, cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. In 2022, high blood pressure was a priority or contributing cause of nearly 700,000 deaths in the United States. Secondly, exercise can acutely reduce anxiety. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental illness in the United States and affect over 40 million adults, or almost 20% of the population. About 50% of Americans have diabetes or pre-diabetes. So increasing insulin sensitivity is a huge immediate health benefit of exercise. Insulin resistance is a hallmark of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, of course. And I think an underrated immediate side effect of exercise is that it improves sleep quality. According to the National Sleep Foundation, up to 30% of adults struggle with insomnia. Nearly 10% of adults are affected by obstructive sleep apnea. 35% of all adults in the US report sleeping for less than 7 hours a night on average. And we know that short sleep and or poor sleep quality can negatively impact insulin sensitivity, which we just talked about, and can negatively impact body composition, energy, and mood. And speaking of mood, exercise acutely improves mood. Remember that Hippocrates quote about walking? You know, we touched on anxiety earlier, but overall mental health is a big problem in our country. About 18% of adults suffer from worry, nervousness, anxiety, or depression. If the immediate benefits of exercise aren't enough to convince you to prioritize it for your clients and yourself, look at this long list of long-term benefits. For young people, exercise can improve cognition, bone health, and heart health long-term and reduce the risk of depression. We just talked about the prevalence of depression, which is alarming. Exercise helps prevent 8 types of cancer in the long term, and cancer is the second leading cause of death in America. Exercise reduces the risk of dementia, heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and depression. With the exception of depression, all of these conditions are among the top causes of death in the US. Exercise also reduces the risk of death from all causes. Improvements in bone health and physical function are huge long-term benefits of exercise. And a major reason is because falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths among adults ages 65 and older. And the death rate from falls is increasing at a shocking rate. To be specific, the fall death rate increased by 41% from 2012 to 2021. Physical activity reduces the risk of excessive weight gain and helps to maintain a healthy weight. This might be due to physical activity helping with a caloric deficit after weight loss, and exercise helping to sensitize individuals to appetite control mechanisms. Remember that 74% of Americans are overweight or obese, so the chances are you'll have a significant number of weight loss clients if you don't already. Exercise can decrease pain with osteoarthritis, reduce disease progression for hypertension and type 2 diabetes, reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, and improve cognition for multiple sclerosis, ADHD, and Parkinson's. Just take all of this information and it's absolutely mind-boggling, the long-term health benefits of exercise. It's really hard to overstate the power of exercise on physical health, mental health, and longevity. I hope I've laid out a good case here. So let's go over the established physical activity guidelines for adults. This way you know what to recommend. You feel really comfortable and confident with what to recommend. Move more and sit less throughout the day is the first one. And then some physical activity is better than none. And any amount of moderate to vigorous physical activity provides some health benefits. These top 3 points here are fairly new additions to the guidelines, and I think can be really helpful to reduce the barrier to entry for individuals to at least start moving their bodies. The guidelines go on to say for substantial health benefits, we should do at least 150 to 300 minutes per week of moderate intensity physical activity, or 75 to 150 minutes per week of vigorous intensity aerobic physical activity, or an equivalent combination of moderate and vigorous intensity. As you can see here on this slide, I broke this down in the parentheses for you into hours per week and minutes per day to help it to be more practical and easier to implement, because I think people, they have a hard time figuring out how this would fit into their life just looking at the minutes per week. So I wanted to make it easy for you to break down and share with people. Preferably, aerobic activity should be sped throughout the week. And then it's important to know that additional health benefits are gained by engaging in physical activity beyond the equivalent of 30 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week. It feels to me like the guidelines are really moving in this direction, that more is better, up to that 300 minutes a week. Individuals should also perform strength training activities of moderate or greater intensity that involve all major muscle groups on 2 or more days per week, as this obviously provides additional health benefits. There are different guidelines for children and pregnant women as well as older adults if you want to look them up, but I wanted to give you what I thought was most applicable to the majority of clients. Okay, so now let's look at the specific physical activity guidelines for cardiovascular exercise and strength training. So here in the 3 columns, I've created a reference chart with specific examples of moderate versus vigorous intensity cardiovascular exercise and sample strength training exercises. As clients will ask you which activities meet the criteria. So here you go. I wanted to make it really easy for you. Again, remember that you're not a certified personal trainer, so it's helpful to have a few certified personal trainer colleagues you can trust with whom you can share clients if you have a client who wants to meet with an exercise coach for example. Like I said at the beginning, my work with the city of Boulder, it's really, really cool because we really prefer to pair a nutrition coach with a personal trainer and to come at it from both sides to really help people achieve, the best results possible in the shortest amount of time. And that seems to work really well. So if you have a colleague that you that's a personal trainer, it'd be great to team up with them. Okay. This slide here gives you some basic talking points around general guidelines for what the different types of exercises should feel like. Again, my goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to make recommendations to clients and for clients to feel like starting an exercise program is simple and can fit into their lifestyle. You want to reduce that barrier to entry and meet people where they're at, just as we do when recommending dietary changes to clients. So it's really similar here. So hopefully this is super helpful. You can refer to this chart because, again, clients will ask you for more detail on exactly what these different intensities should feel like. So that was all the good news, is that I made it really easy. But even though I've made things easy and simple so far, hopefully you do have your work cut out for you, as is reflected in this graph. Amazingly, dishearteningly, only 24% of adults 18 years and older meet the physical activity guidelines for both aerobic and strength activities. Less than 7% meet the strength training guidelines, and we know the importance of muscle. And just to reiterate that, I love how Dr. Gabrielle Lyon drives home the importance of building muscle via physical activity. So she says, muscle is the foundation of your metabolism, helping to regulate blood sugar and blood lipids. It's also an endocrine organ. So muscle is an endocrine organ that secretes myokines, which are proteins that help regulate metabolism in all other body tissues. So the stronger and healthier your muscles are, the more carbohydrates and fats your body will burn. Muscle is your metabolic currency. I will often say to clients, muscle is your metabolism. And I think that really hits home for them. So again, I'm reiterating this because less than 7% of people meet the strength training guidelines. And again, 74% of Americans are overweight or obese, and about 50% of Americans have diabetes or prediabetes. So we absolutely have a huge opportunity. And I think, a real challenge to get people in the gym lifting weights or doing it at home. Body weight exercises at home are great. So back to this chart, slightly more folks, but still only about 22% of individuals meet the cardiovascular guidelines. And again, cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in America. So this is where you, the holistic practitioner, is so valuable. Nudging clients into a regular physical activity program can be challenging, but just as you successfully assist people with transforming their nutrition, you can help them transform their physical activity by teaching them the importance of exercise and by recommending a simple but effective program they can do consistently. We'll come back to that word consistently. Addressing both diet and exercise will make you a more well-rounded practitioner, allowing you to have more success with your clients so you get more referrals, so you can help more people and grow your practice. So next up, I have 2 charts here back to back. I created these charts so that you can add them to your client intake process to make it really simple for you to start recommending physical activity. So this first one is for your client, and the next one is for you. So I'll show you. The first one here is one I ask my clients to fill out in their intake paperwork so that I can get an idea of their current physical activity routine, if they have one. I ask for information about their step count, their cardiovascular activity, and their strength activity. We haven't talked specifically about step count yet because there's no actual guideline for steps, but most experts agree that around 7 to 10,000 steps per day is a good goal. Believe it or not, the average American takes only about 3,500 steps a day, so we have a lot of room for improvement there. The second form here is for you to easily analyze your client's current physical activity and what recommendations you might consider to meet the current physical activity guidelines. So I include the current physical activity recommendations again in this chart, so you don't have to refer back to a previous slide for details. So, I take the first chart that my client fills out, and then I use that information to then fill in this chart to then go back to them and make recommendations. I do want to say that an additional fun idea to help clients get moving is to incorporate what I like to call exercise snacks into their day. So when you're considering nutrient dense food snacks with your clients, consider discussing exercise snacks. It kind of go hand in hand here. These are short little bursts of movement sprinkled throughout the day to get the body moving. And exercise snacks can also light up your brain, help with blood sugar control, and even help to build a little muscle. So just as an example, I like to have my clients set a timer on their phone for a few times a day to incorporate these little bursts of activity or exercise snacks and define something that they enjoy. So it might be, 10 air squats or 30 seconds of high knees or running up the stairs in their house or their office or dancing in the kitchen or around their office if they shut the door. Whatever they enjoy, it's really important to find something that they enjoy. So I usually have them, make a little list of 5 to 10 little exercise snacks that they might enjoy. And then, as I said, set a timer on their phone a few times a day. And maybe in the timer, the name of the timer, you can do that on your iPhone. They write, run up the stairs or 10 air squats or 10, push-ups on the counter or whatever that might be. This isn't structured exercise, so there's no changing clothes or excessive sweating or anything like that. Remember, back to the guidelines, they state that any amount of moderate to vigorous physical activity provides some health benefits, and some physical activity is better than none. So exercise snacks can be a really fun and effective way to help people get moving and get healthier when they're short on time or just lacking the motivation for structured exercise, on a particular day. I heard the other day Mark Sisson, who's a former, elite endurance athlete, and you probably all know him. He's a pretty well known in our space, but he said something that really hit home to me is that when we stop moving, we start dying, and that just really hit to my core. So let's help our clients get moving and keep moving. Okay, so now that you have the exercise science, the intake tools you need, let's talk a little bit about the psychology around getting people to incorporate physical activity into their daily life. And even though I'm sure most, if not all of you, practice SMART goals with your nutrition clients, I think it's worth a quick reminder on how helpful SMART goals can be when it comes to starting an exercise program. Goals are great, but repeated wins equal success. Success equals positive emotions, and positive emotions are what create lasting, healthy habits. So said another way, we need positive emotions from repeated wins to create healthy habit change. I'm paraphrasing here from the words of B.J. Fogg, who's a Stanford professor and author of Tiny Habits, which is a great book on habit change. But I just love this, and I've really seen it to be true of how important it is to set, you know, realistic and measurable goals, but really making sure they're realistic so that people hit them. Because when you reach a goal, that's what releases that positive emotion, and that's what creates lasting healthy habit change. I'll even go so far as to have my clients, I'm like, if you get up and do, perform an exercise snack sometime during the day, give yourself a yes, or like an actual pat on the back, or like, way to go, girl, way to go, guy, type of thing, because that really, the brain loves that. And that really helps to, again, create that positive emotion and keep those healthy habits coming. So kind of corny, but I think can be really effective. So just as a review, what are SMART goals? SMART goals are an acronym to guide goal setting, to make goals clear and attainable. So, from a nutrition perspective, a vague goal might be, I want to cook more at home. Well, a SMART goal would be, in the next 3 months, I will cook dinner at home 4 nights a week. We all do things like this with our nutrition clients. Why do SMART goals work? We talked a little bit about that. They provide clarity, focus, and motivation, and they're designed to be realistic, so you're more likely to succeed. We just talked about that, making small incremental habits versus going from 0 to 60 and not being able to accomplish what you set out to do. And I often tell my clients, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. 80% consistent, it is okay, but be consistent and keep going. I said we were going to come back to the word consistent because, as you know, individuals who are the most successful with achieving their goals are the most consistent. Consistency is king. So again, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. I'll tell my clients, if you miss today's workout, if you don't get in an exercise snack, just do it tomorrow, but try not to miss 2 in a row so you can keep that consistency. And another analogy I use is with my clients. You might have heard this before, but I love it. And people will always tell me, oh, I always remember that analogy, as far as, not letting perfect be the enemy of the good, and to kind of get right back on program if you quote unquote fall off. So the analogy is as follows. If you were to go out the front door tomorrow for work and you notice that you had a flat tire, hopefully your response would be, well, dang, I'm going to, fix that flat tire, and it's a pain in the ankle, but I'm going to fix it and then, be on my way to work. Some of you may fix it yourself. I'm not that cool, so I would call AAA and get it taken care of. What I hope that you wouldn't do was say, well, one tire's flat, I'm just going to slash the other 3 and, not go anywhere, and because I don't have 3 other spare tires and day's ruined. And no, I hope that what you would do is change the one flat and carry on. So that applies to, if something happens, if you have a dietary, little hiccup, or you miss a workout or miss an exercise snack, that's okay. Don't let that ruin your day or ruin your consistency. Just do it tomorrow or do it later today. So I hope that really sticks and that you use that with your clients. I can't remember where I heard that. It's not from me originally, but I absolutely love it. Okay, so before we finish with this, I just wanted to give you an example of a SMART exercise goal, which a lot of my clients like to make goals around steps, especially if they're getting started. So something you might hear, in December, as people are making New Year's resolutions, I'm going to walk more next year. That would be a vague goal. A SMART goal would be, in the next 6 months, I will increase my average step count from 6,000 steps to 8,000 steps per day. So a solid SMART exercise goal, and you can, substitute other exercise goals in there. So I hope that's a good little refresher. You probably all know that, but I just wanted to cover that. And I'll also say that when I'm recommending physical activity to clients, I will ask them, how many days a week can you commit to exercise? And what do you like to do? So almost everybody thinks that they can go from 0 days to 7 days a week. So they'll tell me, oh, I'm not exercising at all right now, but yes, starting tomorrow, I can exercise 7 days a week, which of course is not realistic and sets them up for failure. So remember that we need positive emotions from repeated wins to create healthy habit change. So it might sound silly, but I only almost always ask people that, are starting from zero, can you do one workout a week? And they're like, well, of course. I'm like, great. If you can do one workout a week, let's get that, solidified as a habit, and then we can move on. And I'll even make it a smaller goal. So I'll say, can you do 10 minutes? Can you do 15 minutes, 30 minutes? So I literally started with people doing 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes one day a week of an at-home body weight workout. And they're like, oh, that was kind of fun. I can do more. And so I want them to come to me and then say, I can do more. I can do more. But again, start small. And I really don't think you can start too small, because we want those positive emotions. We want them to feel successful. So at the end of the week, they're like, yes, I did that. I did my 10-minute workout. They can report to me that they did it. And typically it was fun and they felt better and they were really proud of themselves. And guess what? Then they're going to do it again. And then they're going to want another day or to add more time. So um, anyway, that's just a little nugget there that really has worked well for me. And make sure that it's something that they enjoy. If I suggest that somebody starts swimming and they hate swimming, well, they're not going to do it. And people don't all like the same type of thing. If I tell someone to start hiking, I love hiking, they don't, they're not going to do it. It's not fun. So really ask them, what do they enjoy? And it can be pickleball is big right now. You can be pickleball, it can be tennis, it can be running, it can be, walking, whatever. So anyway, just a couple of pearls there that I hope are really helpful for you. And I know I said I was moving on from the screen, but one more thing I'll say, the last thing I'll say is exercise compliance is the science. The same thing with nutrition. Be consistent. And then I'll stop because I've been on a little rant there. Okay. So before I wrap up, I just wanted to share a few tips on how I think about linking fitness and nutrition. So you probably know this, but I thought, it might be helpful to some people out there. I start by understanding the client's protein requirement and aim for about 0.7 grams per pound of desired body weight. And again, consider their age, their goals, their activity level. Obviously, all of that you take into consideration. Next, I started about 130 grams of whole food carbs, and of course, titrate up or down depending on their health and activity level. About 40-ish, 40 to 50 grams per meal is a threshold, outside of exercise, but you can add about 40 to 100 grams of carbs for every hour of intense exercise. I like to think about carbs as fueling for physical activity, but obviously this goes without saying, you should consider their metabolic health, their personal goals, do they have body composition goals, whatever. So that's just sort of a general guideline. And then of course I look at essential fats. It's nice if healthy fats come in meals. And then of course assess micronutrient status and fiber intake. I start with protein because, again, to go back to Gabrielle Lyon, which I think I've now referenced 3 times in this webinar, who says skeletal muscle is medicine. It helps with triglycerides and insulin resistance and glucose disposal, as we talked about earlier. So I really, really think that protein is great for skeletal muscle, and we've talked about why that's so important. If you have weight loss clients, I think this is important to say, and I'm sure you will, because 74% of Americans are overweight or obese. it's just good to remember that exercise doesn't appear to help with weight loss per se, but it does appear to help with maintaining weight loss. And this might be true because of a couple things. So, number one, exercise helps to retain lean mass when you're dieting, so you're more metabolically healthy. And number two, exercise can help to regulate appetite. So, exercise appears to have a neutral to positive effect on calorie intake, meaning that you eat the same or slightly less even as an exerciser than you do as a sedentary person. So, said in another way, exercise may have a slight appetite suppressive effect, which is super interesting. And another thing, to remind weight loss clients, since we're on the subject, is that you're likely to sorry. So let me start again. So another thing to remind weight loss clients about is there's an energy compensation effect of exercise for about 30 calories per 100 calories of exercise. So this is general and can vary from person to person, but in general, if you think you're burning 100 calories from exercise, it's probably more like 70 calories. So you might remind people that, calorie counts on cardio machines and your fitness tracker are probably not 100% accurate. All right. If you're intrigued by this webinar, which I hope you are, and you want to learn more, I just wanted to pass along some trusted resources. So I have books that tout the benefits of exercise, and most of the books listed here include sample exercise programs, which are to be trusted. And I've also provided some websites and podcasts. Notice I put our podcast up there, Nourishing You. Thank you for listening. So, under the websites column, Silver Sneakers has a really great video library of exercises for older adults. And then NASM and acefitness.org also have great, videos for the general population with exercise demonstrations. If you want to provide links to those to clients for some sample exercises. And as I said, these podcasts are great if you prefer to listen that way. All right, I'm going to bring myself back on camera here so I can just thank you. So I can see you all again. I just want to thank you so much for sharing your time. I know it's so valuable and there's so much information out there. So I can't thank you enough for hanging with me till the end. I thought that, I hope that you found this interesting and practical and that you got information out of this webinar that you can use right away. And let me go to my summary screen here, because I just wanted to summarize what we talked about real quick. So we talked about why exercise is essential for optimal health. You have lots of data to share with your clients regarding the importance of exercise now. So I hope that that's super helpful, because sometimes you do have to make the case to people. I summarized the physical activity guidelines for Americans so that they're at your fingertips and you don't have to question what the current standards are. You just have them right in front of you there. I provided an exercise toolkit for your practice so you can literally start making informed physical activity recommendations today to your nutrition clients. I explained my strategies for linking nutrition and fitness recommendations and briefly reviewed the basics of setting SMART goals for physical activity. So I know that's a review for most, if not all of you, but I hope that's helpful, because it's helpful for me to go over that stuff every once in a while. And then finally, I provided a list of trusted resources, including books, websites, podcasts, should you want to do some additional learning on the importance of incorporating physical activity recommendations into your nutrition practice. So again, thank you so much for joining me. My contact information is at the bottom of the screen here if you have any questions or feedback. I'd love to connect, so please reach out anytime. And I think that's it. So until we talk again, take care, and I'll see you next time.